Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts video. So first and foremost, I gotta say sorry I haven't been really posting a lot recently. Life's been getting pretty busy, and by that I mean I've been playing a lot of Dragon Quest. But that being said, I do have a ton of video ideas and I'm gonna start posting more regularly from now on. But in any case, at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, we were left with a ton of questions. In the base game, we touched on the concept of Subject X in that storyline that still needs to be addressed. We also have the issue of the Foretellers, Luxu, and the Master of Masters, who of course are going to be set up as the main antagonists of Phase 2. Then with the Remind DLC and Melody of Memory, we were introduced to Yozora as a character alongside the Universal Unreality and the Water Quadratum, both of which Sora seemed to be trapped in for, of course, breaking the laws of time and Remind. So with everything happening in the next phase of the Kingdom Hearts series, there are a lot of things that need to be explained as far as the story. But I think one of the more interesting things that happened in Kingdom Hearts 3 was what actually happened with Sora. And I think as the series goes forward into Phase 2 and beyond, we should expect to see a couple of huge changes in Sora as a character. And also I want to give a huge thanks to my good friend Insanity TV for helping me with this video. He actually helped me come up with the idea for this video when we were just talking about some stuff in the Discord server. So if you want to see your idea possibly become the next video, go ahead and join the Guardians of Twilight Discord server. We've been growing pretty steadily, and if you want to interact with some of the greatest people on the face of the internet, we would love to have you join. But with that being said, let's get into what we could see from Sora in Phase 2. So throughout the Kingdom Hearts series, Sora is a very beloved character. Usually when I talk to people and I ask who their favorite character is, Sora is usually in their top 3, and for good reason. Sora is a character that's been really consistent throughout the series. He can really go through everything with a smile and consistently be the light in the darkness for his friends. But that consistency in itself is kind of a double-edged sword. For better or worse, he's definitely been consistent throughout the series, but in my opinion, he's been a pretty stagnant character as far as his progression. From Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 0.2, there really hadn't been any progression in him as a person. He's always stayed the same happy-go-lucky guy and silly person that he's been since the days of Kingdom Hearts 1. Of course, we've seen him get emotional in a couple of scenes, like in Kingdom Hearts 1 when Riku took his Keyblade in Hollow Bastion, or in Kingdom Hearts 2 when he found Riku and Kairi in the world that never was. And when I say changed, I have characters like Riku and Aqua in mind who had legitimate character arcs. Because from Kingdom Hearts 1 to now in Kingdom Hearts 3, Riku has had one of, if not the best character arc in the series. We've seen Riku fall to darkness and struggle with it throughout most of the franchise. And then as the series went on, we saw him learn to control it and harness its power while still retaining his sense of self, and even go so far as to dive back into it to save Sora in Dream Drop Distance. Then that character arc comes full circle and really comes to a close in Kingdom Hearts 3, because it's then we see Riku become this kind of unyielding, confident character. And because of the issue of him struggling with the darkness and overcoming it, he was able to become that person. And Aqua had an amazing story as well, with her of course being in the realm of darkness for over a decade and her still dealing with the trauma that comes with it in Kingdom Hearts 3 from when she turned into Anti-Aqua. I made a video on that recently on what we could see from Aqua going forward because honestly I don't think that arc is necessarily over, but it's still something that stuck with her character like we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, and of course the scene with Aqua seeing the Heartless Tornado as hundreds, maybe thousands of Anti-Aquas. Now all of that to say, we've had characters that have had that experience, but Sora really hasn't had that experience throughout most of the series. We've had moments where Sora was in trouble and we get these emotional moments, but there really hasn't been anything that's legitimately changed Sora because he's never needed to. Not to say that he's a badly written character, but there's really nothing that happened to Sora to change his character that had him grow in the same level that Riku or to some extent Aqua has had to. But then we got into Kingdom Hearts 3, and that changed quite a bit with a couple of key moments. The first one is in Olympus where you see Pete talking to Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Because it was at that moment when Pete was talking about how weak Sora was that we really got to see Sora get bothered. To me, it really humanized Sora because seeing someone who's always this bright and cheerful person really get affected by what Pete said really made me think that yes, some things actually do bother Sora, and sometimes he's not the happy-go-lucky guy that we think he is. And while it started there, I really think it hit home with two key moments in the Keyblade Graveyard. The first one being during the fight with Terranort. We see the Demon Tide essentially destroy the Guardians of Light. We see Ventus and Axel, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, even Aqua and Kairi get merged, leaving only Sora and Riku. Then Sora just ends up breaking down because he ended up losing all of his friends. And then we see that happen again with Kairi after Xehanort ends up killing her too near the end of the game. It's there that we get to see Sora really be the most emotionally vulnerable he's been in the series thus far, and honestly those scenes were a breath of fresh air for his character. Because it's during those moments that we get to see Sora actually struggle with doing the one thing he's always done in the series, and that's protecting the people around him. We've seen Sora lose before, but that might have been one of the first times we see Sora actually legitimately fail. And going forward in phase 2, I think it could be possible that we could see more of that in this franchise should we end up going through the universe of unreality. Because this is one of the times where Sora's sacrifice has a consequence. Everyone has to go to the universe of unreality and do all these other things to try to save him. It kind of boils down to what Luciu or Xigbar said in the beginning of KH3 when he said he doesn't admire someone saving people if it means someone's just gonna have to jump in to save him. So Kingdom Hearts 3 could legitimately be the start of Sora's character arc. And also, I could be stretching here a little bit, but from what we've seen so far in the universe of unreality in the world of Quadratum, it looks tonally different than anything we've seen in the Kingdom Hearts universe because of course it's based on Shibuya. So with that being the case, I wouldn't be surprised if the story ends up following that tonal shift as well. But I think we could see some more mature stories take place in future Kingdom Hearts games. And what that means for Sora is that we could possibly see his character actually be challenged and his ideals brought into question. Because like I said earlier, Sora is one of the few characters to have a legitimate character arc when he struggles and it changes him, and Kingdom Hearts 3 could have been the beginning or some sort of peek into what we could see for the future of the series. I know a lot of people might disagree with that, and that's totally fine, and if you do, leave a comment down below. But personally, I think Sora's character, while consistent, to me just lacks the depth that other characters in this series have gotten. And that honestly makes it really tough to root for him, because we haven't really seen him legitimately struggle. And that could very well be the route we're going with, you know. Nomura could have just easily painted Sora as this very shonen protagonist kind of person that doesn't really get affected and is always the consistent person to look to. But personally, I think the trend of Sora not being able to protect his friends could be something that leads into a moment of growth for his character in the future of the franchise. But that's going to be all from me for now. If you guys like the video and you want to see more videos like these, let me know down below in the comments. And if you haven't already and you want to join the Guardians of Twilight, make sure you subscribe and join the Discord server. With that being said, I'll see y'all next time. This is Moose Wayne, signing off.